Today was the last lesson of the semester. All that's left to do now is check for understanding in lots of different ways. So for this specific lesson, you do have a practice that will have you practicing if you can make sense of a piecewise function in terms of the situation. If you can make a graph when the rules are given. If you can take something in function notation and explain what it means in the situation and understand what makes it a piecewise function. Will be assessed on all of those things. You then, after your practice, you have to make sure you're ready for your binder check. You do have to make sure that you're ready for the test, which is on Tuesday. Tomorrow in algebra, you'll have the whole hour to work on all the study guides, but tomorrow I did make that the due date for your final exam project, so like you might be spending that time working on that. We'll see. Like I could also check it on Monday, the rough draft, but like really like after that, you should be spending your time working on the final draft, which is the game itself. So remember, your rough draft you have to do on paper. Each of you are turning in a rough draft of 15 questions. 15 questions that you guys share between each other, but like you each are writing down all 15. And you are assigned a person and a topic to make your game on. I haven't necessarily seen everyone working with their partner, so I'm just hoping that it's getting done. Any questions right now, though? Okay, so then do this first, like make sure you can get these questions right on your test by doing the practice, and then work on all of the other things as well. This is from lesson 12, number 1, in case you also had trouble. A parking garage charges $5 for the first hour, $10 for up to 2 hours, and $12 for the entire day. Let G be the dollar cost of parking for 3 hours. So we have to, I mean, the rules aren't given to us in the same type of notation that it was given to us in the notes, but you still have to say like what the correct output would be for each input. So if they park for 0 hours, how much does it cost? $0. If they park for half an hour, how much does it cost? So actually, I think it costs $5. Yes. Okay, so that brings up a good point. These aren't necessarily like linear functions. I mean, parts of it could be, like sometimes it is, but it's not charging $5 per hour, which would then be like $2.50 every 30 minutes. Like it's not charging like a rate. It's saying for up to the first hour, it's charging $5 no matter what. And that's really true of any like parking garage. Usually you just like pay and then the time runs out, and it's not like they're giving you less money if you don't use all the time. Just pay that. So then if they do 1 hour exactly, how much does it cost? $5. 1.75 hours. Okay, because that is for up to 2 hours, it costs $10. What about 2 hours exactly? And then $5, or not $5, 5 hours. And that's because it has specific rules. It's not necessarily like an ongoing rate. It's just if it falls between this range to this range, let me check the key. And it is right. So there are different rules for different parts of the domain. Not necessarily like per hour, like you didn't say per hour, it said Questions on this one? Yes. Question 6. So 6 on lesson 12. Here's a graph. Okay, so it looks ugly. I agree, it looks ugly because these blanks are too long. But if you look back at our notes, it's trying to set it up kind of like this. Where like the left column is our outputs and this is our inputs. Okay, so we're gonna fill in the blanks for this situation. Okay. So when it goes the x's from -10, which is here, to -8, so see where that touches on the line, it touches from here to here. What output is that? So that's what goes here. In this one, they're giving you the output. You have to fill in the missing part of the input. So let me erase my little notes over here. So they're giving me my output of -6, which would be here. They give me that it ends at -1. Where does it start? What x value? And that makes sense. And also these should be like where the closed circles go. So yes, that is making a lot of sense. For the next one, we're missing the output. They're giving us that the input is -1 to +1. See where that touches on the line? It touches at this one. What y value is that? It does look like 2. It does look right in the middle, so I'm going to go with 2. And this is going to mess up my blanks, but... And then we're missing both parts of the input for when the output is 4. So let me line this back up. When the output is 4, we're looking at this line. Where does it start? What x value? And where does it end? Good. And for the symbols, I mean, they didn't leave off the symbols, but since this is a closed circle, it should have a little line. Since this one is an open circle, it shouldn't. So 110 goes on. Does that make more sense? This one is the other blank. I just don't want to scroll down and mess up the rest of it. The last bits. All right, other questions? Trinity? Question 5 on lesson 12? Yeah. Okay, for what values of g of x, or what x values is g of x equal to -6? Zeros. Okay, they're all on cameras. Okay. Anyway, is that -6 an input or an output? The way that the function notation is, this must be a output. Because if it was an input, it would be in the parentheses, right? And it's not. So I look for my outputs on the y-axis, find where -6 is. It would be here. So it's saying for what x values is the output -6. Where does it start? What x value? When I set up my inequalities, I like for what number to be on the left, the smaller or bigger. So -8 will go first. There's only 2 numbers to pick from. So -8 will go first. That's my smaller one. My bigger one will go toward the right. And then you look at, well, first you look at the open or closed, and also is what's on the line bigger or smaller than -8? What's on here is bigger than -8, so the opening should face the X. Since it's a closed circle, it should have a little line underneath it. And that's the symbol. Talking about the domain, so we should use X. And then compared to the -1, what's on this line is smaller than -1. And it doesn't include it because it's an open circle. Does that make sense? Questions on this? Okay, what are the values of the following? All given to you in function notation. So what are these numbers? Inputs or outputs? They're all inputs because they're all in the parentheses. So you need to find where on the x-axis those numbers are, and then read the graph and see what their output is. So here is where x is 1. What's the output? Is it going to be 2 or 4? 4, because of the closed circle includes that number in the solution set. Now here's where -12 is. That one doesn't leave a lot of open interpretation. Like there's no open or closed circle I need to worry about. That touches at the -10. That is where it touches on the y-axis here. Now, for when x is 15, I don't see that one. So that one has to be, read the instructions, type undefined if you can't determine it from the graph. No, it isn't. Don't spell it wrong, don't put any extra spaces. 15 is not on the graph, so I can't spell it. Good on that one? Questions on any others? It could be any other practice in the study guide. General. You just let me know.